This video we're going to be talking about three different things: the Land Ordinance of 1785, the Northwest Ordinance of 1787, and then Shay's Rebellion. This is all leading up to the Founding Fathers, the Continental Congress, getting rid of the Articles of Confederation. This is what the United States looked like at the end of the Revolutionary War. You can see how we've expanded further out west. We're basically up into the Mississippi River. We already have the established colonies, which are a lot larger than what we are today. Like, look at the size of Virginia or Georgia. Obviously, those colonies today are a lot smaller, but this is what the United States looked like. So the Land Ordinance of 1785 was basically taking a huge plot of land like the Northwest Territory, and they're going to divide it into squares. And each of these squares is going to be 6 miles on each side. So the square is going to be 6 north, 6 east, 6 west, and 6 south all around. These 6-mile strips would then become townships. Within these townships, or these, 6 by 6 by 6 by 6 squares, each town was then divided into 36 smaller sections at 640 acres each. And then you would sell off these acres at $1 per acre. $1 doesn't seem like a lot today, but back then $1 was a lot. So what people did in order to actually be able to afford one of these little squares inside of a square was to combine their money, to pool their money together. So they would all chip in what they could, and they would buy one of these squares, 640 acres, in order to grow their crops. And each little township, of course, had its name. So, for example, the 6 by 6 by 6 is called Sargent, and then the smaller 640 acres had their own name. So it could be something like Taylor or Jackson or Vivian, Willie, Hall. So they would each have their own name. And this lovely depiction is of a map of Ohio in which the land was divided by using the same techniques that we were just talking about in the Land Ordinance of 1785. So let's fast forward 2 years into the features. Now, 1787, you have the Northwest Ordinance that's in effect. Basically, what it says, if in a given area you have 5,000 free males of voting age that are settled in an area, they could become self-governing. When the population reaches 60,000, they could then apply for statehood. Otherwise, slavery was outlawed in these areas. So you could apply to become a state, to become a part of the United States of America, once you have 60,000 free citizens. One of the first issues that the Articles of Confederation really encounters, that it becomes evident that they need to change it, is Shay's Rebellion. So the farmers' income was decreasing while taxes were increasing. So they were losing money because they had to pay more money and they weren't getting as much in return. The farmers that couldn't pay off their debts had their farms taken away by the courts. Very similar today when you can't pay the mortgage on your house and your house goes into foreclosure, the bank takes away your home. Same thing happened to the farmers that were in debt and couldn't pay off their bills. Daniel Shay decides that this is unfair. They're not getting as much money in income, but they still have to pay an increased rate of taxes. So he leads a group of farmers to try to capture a federal arsenal. Remember, an arsenal is just a place that houses weapons. As this is going on, people were like, send in the army. But we didn't have an army. Remember, there was no Continental Army after the Revolutionary War. So Massachusetts sent in a militia to stop the rebellion, and it did. But what Shay's Rebellion did overall, the bigger picture of it, was that it convinced people that the United States needed a stronger federal government. That the Articles of Confederation, at first, they thought needed to just be fixed. Eventually, they come to the realization that they need to be replaced altogether. So the idea of the Articles of Confederation, should it stay or should it go? Should we fix it or should we replace it? The Shay's Rebellion that had just happened proved that the federal government was too weak. They couldn't even send the military to end a rebellion. So what were they going to do about it? Option one is to just edit. Cut some things out, put some things in, and this could all be done at the Constitutional Convention. Option two is to just dump the entire document, throw it away, and start from something entirely brand new, something from scratch. I think you guys know which option the Founding Fathers selected. So before we get into the Constitutional Convention, which will be your next video, let's make sure you guys are able to answer these 5 questions. Explain to me the Land Ordinance of 1785 and the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. How did Shay's Rebellion get started? What was the motive behind it? And then what was the realization? Like, what happened during it? What did they try to do? And then finally, what did Shay's Rebellion prove? What was the final verdict from it, because the actual rebellion was unsuccessful. So answer these questions, complete your blog, and I will see you guys tomorrow in class.